Hello and welcome. I am so excited to have you here today for my first live video cast. And I am especially excited about kicking this series off because it gives me an opportunity to sit with you once a week live, and we can work on building your business, helping you with your mindset, helping you live life fully. And I have been so blessed in my lifetime. I have had incredible mentors. I've read incredible books. I've put myself in the fire of life to really learn how to become the best version of myself, how to give back in a much bigger way, and how to build a multi-six-figure business doing what I love the most. And that's what's really possible. But along the way of building a business, something incredible happens where we really start to feel overwhelmed along the way. And it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. And so many times, day to day, as we build our business and try to create a life that we absolutely love and feel proud of, we get really stressed out, especially in a day and age where, oh my gosh, we're in information overload. You know, you're scanning through your Facebook feed, and you're feeling just like there's so many offers and so much going on, and how can we possibly focus on anything? Add to that, by the way, that it is the beginning of the year. For most of you watching this, some will be watching the replay, but really when we start out a new year, we have all of the hope in the whole world. We have these incredible aspirations, and we say, I'm going to make 2014 my year. This is going to be my best year ever. I'm going to impact tons of people. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to get in shape. I'm gonna. And then within the first week or two of the year, something happens. A crack happens in that belief, in that wavering, belief that you're going to make it your year. Because when you sit down to start executing, you get totally overwhelmed, right? Tech things go wrong, or all of a sudden you have to write a blog post, go on social media, you have to pick up your kid, you have to do the laundry, the dog needs to be walked. I mean, whatever it is in your situation, things just get out of control and we lose time. So that's why I really wanted to start this episode off, or this series off, with an episode on how to manage overwhelm and stress, because I feel it all the time. I'm no different than you. I look at the clock and I can't believe it's the end of the day already and I still have half the things on my to-do list left. Or classic, I sit down to do something and it takes me 10 times longer than I planned for because I had some technical issue. I had to overcome something that, I just didn't realize that this was going to happen, or I had to learn a new trade or a new skill, and all of a sudden we have no time. So I really want to address why overwhelm happens. I want to talk about what happens on a physical level when you feel overwhelmed. I want to give you some immediate action steps that you can take right now if you're feeling overwhelmed, or at least write them down so the next time you do feel overwhelmed or stressed, that you can take that, get that immediate relief. And then I'm also going to talk about how to prevent it for the future. Because if we know it's something that's always going to pop up in our lives, what steps or measures can we take to have it happen less frequently? So let's talk about why overwhelm happens to begin with. Well, a lot of times it's self-inflicted, right? We bite off more than we can chew. We are not setting realistic goals for ourselves, but more, we're not setting realistic timelines for ourselves. We're not planning for the unexpected that pops up, and that's what really gets us. We'll sit down and we'll say, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to create this blog post. I'm going to learn Google Plus today. But we don't realize how long some of these things can actually take us to execute. And that's when we get overwhelmed, because we start getting behind schedule. Or, this is classic for me too, the times when I feel most overwhelmed, it's because I'm looking at the whole picture, right? I'm looking at all of the things that I want to do in my business this year, and it totally freaks me out because I'm launching new courses and I'm doing webinars and video casts and summits and all of these things, and all of a sudden it can start to feel like so much. And how am I ever going to accomplish it? Including, how am I going to balance that with having personal time doing the things that I love? So one of the things that I do when I'm overwhelmed is I really become aware that I'm overwhelmed because I'm looking at everything as a big picture. I'm looking at all of the things that are going wrong or all of the things that I need to do. And that's, of course, going to freak anybody out, right? I mean, come on, let's just common sense here. So instead, what I do is I immediately try to stop it by saying, okay, what's the one thing that I need to do today to get closer to my goals or to better my situation? That way I'm not looking at everything that's going on. Or if there's a lot of things that seem to be going wrong in my life, I try to think about what are the ones that I can actually do something about, and what steps can I take to really start to relieve that pressure, whether I'm delegating or other things, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I really want to attack that. You know, why we get overwhelmed and stressed, it's because we're looking at the big picture, we're putting way too much pressure on ourselves. I mean, expectation-wise, you know, if you're a perfectionist or a control freak, you try to have things be a certain particular way, oh my goodness, can I totally relate to that, okay? But what happens is you have to just let go at some point. You have to understand that it's not going to be a perfect process, nor should it be, because that would take all of the growth out of it. And every challenge that you come up against is an experience to learn and grow, and out of that experience you can help more people, right? So if we spin it around and look at it as it's not the worst thing in the world, but we definitely want to come to grips with our perfectionism and how we can try to get a better grip on that. At what point is it good enough to go out and launch this product? Because especially with product development, I'll just take a segue here for a quick second. You're creating this product, you know it's going to help lots of people, but you don't finish it because it's not perfect, and you spend hours and hours and days and weeks, and then it gets so big and so overwhelming because you're trying to make it so perfect that it never launches. And think about all of the people that you're not impacting, all of the people that are waiting for you to come out with the next thing that's going to help them solve their problems just because you tried to make it too perfect. So if we can really understand why overwhelm happens, well, then we can, you know, really start to tackle it in a positive way. We can try to take measures, like I said, to reduce that overwhelm. Now, on a physical level, what happens when we get overwhelmed or stressed? Oh my gosh, so many horrible things. And in fact, if you go to authenticbusinesssuccesssummit.com, you'll see this is a huge online training program for charity that I have facilitated. And one of the speakers, Dr. Nima Rahmani, gave an absolute smashing success of an interview, and it was all about stress, the effects of it, where it comes from, and many, many other incredible things. In fact, if you go to authenticbusinesssuccesssummit.com, you can even see a live video, or not a live, but a video preview of his interview right there on the page. So anyway, what he says is that when you feel stress on a physical level, I mean, so many things are happening where it affects your immune system. You get tired more quickly. I mean, all of these changes are happening in your body to put you into that fight or flight mode so that you can overcome whatever pressure that you're experiencing. Long term, it has horrible health effects, horrible health effects. And if you have ever experienced some sort of physical issue that couldn't be explained, I have had that happen 3 major times in my lifetime, all times when I was totally overdoing it, working way too hard, feeling stress, prolonged stress for way too long, and my body literally started to break down on me, and that's all due to stress. So we really have to get a grip on it if you want to be around long enough so that you can actually inspire the world and create your lasting legacy. Another thing that happens when we experience overwhelm and stress is that we don't listen. And I'm pausing because this is so critical. Have you ever been having a conversation with somebody where you're not even like listening at all to what they're saying? Or you're on the phone with somebody and you're trying to like respond to an email, or you're looking at your Facebook feed, you're doing 5 other things. You're doing anything but listening to that person on the other end of the line who actually wants to talk to you and learn from you or get inspired by you, or just needs somebody that just needs a friend, and you're not even paying attention to them. I am so scared about the direction that we're all headed in this technology age, because what I'm seeing is that people are listening less and less and less. We're less present, right? So I really want to make us all aware of this so that we can just realize this pattern that we're not paying attention, we're not listening, and a lot of times it happens when we're overwhelmed or stressed, and again, that comes from putting too much on our plates, trying to be too perfect, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say that, you are sitting there totally freaked out, overwhelmed, and stressed out right now. First of all, I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I totally relate to it. Again, I'm human. There are definitely times in my life when I feel completely frozen, freaked out with overwhelm. And it's just not healthy, like we talked about. Well, what are some immediate things that we can do to break ourselves from that freaked out mode, right? And the first thing that I would suggest is we have to find a way to get it out, right? If we just try to keep it all in because we're trying to be strong or whatever our issue is, right? But if we keep it in, it's just going to keep building and building and building until we have a literal, like a mental breakdown, an emotional breakdown on some level. And that's not healthy either, and it's not fair to the people around us that love us when we have to unleash on them, right? So there's got to be some way that we can get it out. Now, I know that some men will tell you the way that they let it out is they just need some immediate release. For example, break a plate on the floor and they feel better, or punch something, or scream into a pillow, and cool, whatever works for you. You have to find what's going to work for you. No judgment, as long as you're not hurting other people, obviously. For me, one of the things that I do is when I become aware of how stressed out and overwhelmed I am, I literally just stop whatever I'm doing, and I shut off the music that I'm listening to. I close out all of the internet windows or whatever I'm doing. I literally stop everything cold right there. And I take a deep breath, and I think, okay, I'm freaked out, I'm overwhelmed, but I don't want to feel like this. So I need to get it out. And what I do, what works best for me, and you've heard this before, I get out a piece of paper and I start writing. I write down everything I'm freaked out about, everything I have to do. The times that I get most overwhelmed in my life is simply when I have too much to do, right? So for me, writing out a to-do list works for me because it's like a brain dump. If I can get it out of my mind onto paper, then I don't have to keep obsessing about it over and over and over again. This is a great tip too. If you are the type of person that wakes up in the middle of the night and you just start thinking about all of these different things, have a piece of paper and pen by your bed and literally write it all down, and you won't feel that overwhelmed by it anymore. And this is really important. My business mentor, Eric Graham, who's also a speaker on the Authentic Business Success Summit, what Eric Graham taught me is that your subconscious is constantly trying to work out or work through the challenges that you're facing, the things that you have to overcome. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you get that anxiety about all the things that you have to do, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I kid you not, it works. I literally at times have talked to my mind and I'm like, okay, I get that you're trying to solve this problem, but it's not going to be solved at 2:30 in the morning. And I think through kind of a quick plan over the next couple of days. Okay, on tomorrow I'm going to accomplish X, Y, Z. The next day, A, B, C. And I literally just think about my next few steps, and when I do that, I feel so much better. I know that I have a plan. My subconscious doesn't have to sit there and work it out at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I go back to sleep almost immediately. It's the craziest thing. I'm not even kidding you. So back to the to-do list, I write everything down, even stupid things like walk the dog, or go to the store and get milk, or put the clothes in the dryer. I mean, everything that's bothering me, everything I have to do. And what's really interesting is during that time when I'm actually writing, I feel my body calming down because I've taken a break from whatever it was that was causing me to get overwhelmed or stressed out. So I think that that's a great great option for you is just to write it all down. And I know it takes time. I mean, there have been times when I'm in the middle of being stressed out and I think, I don't have the time. I don't even have the time to do this. How do I have the time to write down another to-do list? You know, but trust me, you'll feel better. Even if it's just taking that little break to walk away from whatever you're doing, it really does help long term. Another thing that I do, and this tip works for me if I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of the flow of my work day, and let's say I come up with a technology challenge, and I'm trying to set up a webinar and finish my blog post and respond to this email and, you know, update my Facebook feed or whatever. And all of a sudden I'm multitasking and I'm switching between internet windows doing all of these different things. And if I feel that anxiety come up, again, awareness is the first key. You have to be aware when you're feeling that way. And what I do is I close out of Facebook, out of my email, save it as a draft, save that email as a draft, close out of the webinar. I focus on one task and one task only. This works so well. So I sit there and I do the one task, and as soon as that task is fully done, I go to the next task. Once that one is fully done, I go to the next task. Only when I start to feel better, I'll take on another task and I'll do two things at the same time. And then all of a sudden I'll get into a better flow of working again where I can accommodate multiple tasks at the same time. So that may be something that you could try too. And the last thing that I'm going to say that works for me when I feel that overwhelm, like immediately need a shift, is I work out in some way. Now, I'm not saying you have to stop what you're doing and drive to the gym and work out for an hour and come home and shower and then go back to work. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what I am suggesting is if you feel overwhelmed, stop what you're doing, go on the floor, knock out 20 push-ups, 20 crunches, and 20 jumping jacks. Just something to break the routine, get you out of that overwhelm, get the blood and get the energy flowing in your body again. And I'm telling you, holy cow, does that work. It just makes you feel immediately better, like you've been able to release. Here again, you got it out, and you've got the energy flowing in your body again. Plus, every time you work out anyway, have you noticed how you get so much more clear in your thought process? So now I come back, and it's incredible how much more efficient I am when I'm working. So that could be a great thing for you. And again, the hardest part out of all of these tips that I'm giving you is actually stopping what you're doing and doing these other things. That's the hardest part, at least it is for me. So by knowing that there are going to be times in your life moving forward that you'll feel stressed and overwhelmed, it's time to come up with a step-by-step process so that you can overcome it as quickly as possible, because you're going to be healthier in the long run, your mindset's going to be better, you're going to be more productive, and it's actually going to improve your relationships with the people around you. Because if you're married and your husband or wife comes home and you just sit there and vent, negative, no, I'm so stressed, and this and this and that and the other thing, and it's so horrible, well, what do you think that's going to do to the quality of your relationships? I mean, really, nobody likes to hang out with a negative Nelly, okay? People love hanging out with people that make them come alive, that inspire them, that make them laugh, that make them feel worthwhile, that make them feel like they're in a positive place. Now, I'm not suggesting you have to be that way all the time in your relationships, but be aware. How many times a week are you talking to your relationship partner and complaining, or talking about obstacles and challenges, versus how many times are you uplifting them and being positive? And like I talked about earlier, how often are you listening to them? So these are all things that can come out of being overwhelmed and stressed. And in the last segment of this episode, I want to talk about some ways that we can prevent stress from happening in the future. So we just talked about some immediate things when we're in the moment feeling not overwhelmed, but how can we prevent it from happening so often moving forward? And there are several things that I personally do. Number one, a lot of the overwhelm that happens during the day actually comes from how you start your day. So for example, if you start your day and you hit snooze, snooze, snooze on your alarm, you're late, and then you take your shower, you're late to the work, and you get in and there's hundreds of emails or 30 emails or whatever the number is for you in your inbox, And all of a sudden you can start to get overwhelmed, versus the person who wakes up on time or early. Spend some quiet time. Spend some time just waking up and not rushing out of bed, but just lay there for a little bit and maybe read a book for a little bit, or meditate for a little bit, or think about what I want to happen out of my day. Every single morning I pump myself up mentally for the day, and I just live in gratitude, and I think about the things that I'm grateful for, the things I want to accomplish, the people I want to inspire, how I want to give back, how I want to feel. I want to feel energized and inspired. I want to accomplish everything on my to-do list, and I dream about how my day is going to go. And it doesn't mean it's actually going to go that way, but it's how I start my day that's really important for setting the stage on how you're going to get through your day. Another thing that I do, and I love this, okay, when I started implementing this into my life, whoa, it's seriously, it's such a stupid thing, but like it makes all the difference for me. The day before, when I stop my workday, this is maybe one of the more important tips that I can give you. When I stop my workday, I put everything away. I put my calculator in its spot. I put my highlighters in their spot. I put my to-do list on its spot. And I totally organize my office space. And then I pull out my little planner. In fact, I'm going to show it to you right here because I created my own to-do list right here. And you can, I'll put a link below this video so that you can download this if you like the format. But essentially, I created this workflow here, and it has just a list of lines where I can put my to-do list. And then up here, I have a box for the different appointments that I have in the day, so different calls, webinars that I'm attending, people I need to reach out to, I'm going to work out, whatever it is, at what time, very specific. And then down here, I have a box for the things that I'm going to accomplish this week in general. And I don't know when exactly I'm going to accomplish these things, but they have to be done that week. So what I do every day, like literally every day before I finish, I pull out a new piece of paper because I have it bound here of all of my days. So what I do is I write down everything that is on my mind that I need to do the next day, and then what I need to accomplish again in general that week. And if I ever have a slow period in the day, then I'll go over to this section and I'll start accomplishing some of those things so that this list is getting smaller and smaller. And it was so simple to create in Microsoft Word, but it just made all the difference for me because I could brain dump at the end of the day, put all of my to-dos there. Then at night when I went to dinner, have my quiet time to recharge and get balanced for the next day, I didn't have to sit there and think about anything that was on my to-do list in business. None of it. That means I'm maximizing my time to recharge in the evenings, and I just know that tomorrow morning it's all going to be sitting there waiting for me, and I can tackle it at that point. So having this system where at the end of the workday I put everything away and I prepared for the next day, oh my gosh, it totally changed things for me. I no longer woke up in the middle of the night. I was way more present in my relationship and friendships in the evenings and on the weekends, and I just rested in the fact that it was all sitting on that piece of paper, and when I would come in the next morning, I'd come into a fresh, clean environment, excited to work. So these are some things that have really, they may seem so ridiculous, but gosh, it made all the difference in the whole world to me. And kind of a couple of the things that I said within that segment that relate to preventing overwhelm: balance, having balance in your life. I wake up in the morning, I spend a good hour or so getting ready for the day. I dress up for the day. This is how I look every single day. I don't have, a lot of face-to-face interactions. It's all online, so I could be sitting here with no makeup, my hair a mess, in pajamas. But you know what? I'm not nearly as effective when I do that, so I show up for the day. And then I work until, let's say, 5, 6 o'clock. It just depends on what I have going on that day. And then usually, like today, for example, I'm going to get off at 4 o'clock. I'm going to put on my workout clothes and I'm going to go to the gym from 5 to 6. And I can't wait to go to the gym. It's like my reward for accomplishing my to-do list today. And that's going to help me prevent stress in the future because I was able to work out and kind of get into routine with that. And once I'm done working out, I'll come home and shower and play with my yellow lab Bailey and take him on a walk and make a healthy dinner and get to bed at a reasonable time and read and take care of myself. And it's all balance, right? I work during the day and at night it's Amber time. And having that time is really special to me. It allows me to just recharge for the next day. So if you're the type of person that has a weird schedule, like you wake up in the morning, you do a little work, then you go do some laundry, you go to the store, you come back, then you do this, and then putzing around the house a little bit, looking at Facebook, and it's 5 o'clock, and you didn't get done what you thought you were going to get done, so now you work all night. That is not effective. Now, it may be effective for one person, maybe two listening to this episode, but it's not effective in general. So I don't do personal stuff during the day. I don't do my laundry during the day. I don't go to the store in the middle of the day because that interrupts my pattern. It's only going to lead to more overwhelm in the afternoon. When I work, I work. And when I'm off and it's Amber time, I'm off and I'm on Amber time. And that's a lot of times why you won't see me on Facebook in the evening. Sometimes I don't even check social media. Sometimes I will just before bed because, see what's going on. But really look at your schedule and is it really working for you? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting exercise? Are you eating well? Do you have free time? Are you having fun time? Are you working when you're supposed to be working? I mean, all of these things really do play an important role in managing your overwhelm and stress long term. And I think that if you just look at everything that we've accomplished today on this episode, it really should help you moving forward into this year. Because the reality is that you are really important. You are one of the most important people in the entire world. You were created to share a message with the world. And you know what that message is. Now, that message could be developing over time, so that's fine. But you know that you want to impact the world. You know you want to do it in an authentic way, full of integrity. And you are going to have to find a way to maximize your health and well-being in order to serve as many people as possible and impact as many people as possible with your message. So you actually have a responsibility to integrate some of these things into your lifestyle now, so that your business can be more successful, so that you can have overall happiness in your life and feel gratitude every single day. And that all comes from getting into the sort of routine, with your physical health, how you're working, and what your personal life looks like. So those are really the tips that I have for you on managing your overwhelm and stress, and I really hope that it was something that you got a few takeaways out of this. The most important thing for me at this point, and I hope you'll participate, is below on this page you'll see a comments box. And I'm hoping that you will engage with me and send a comment telling me your favorite takeaway or one or two things that you're going to start implementing into your daily routine to help with your overwhelm and stress. And let's get the conversation rolling. I would really appreciate your feedback there. Also below you'll see some share buttons where you can share this page on social media and get the word out to help more people with their overwhelm and stress. And the last thing that I want to share with you is next week's episode. Episode number 2. I'm pretty excited about because one of my good friends, Lisa Marie Platsky, I've invited her onto this live show where I'm going to be interviewing her about leadership. She is a brilliant, phenomenal woman, and if you go to our events page at amberludwig.com, you'll be able to read her professional bio and see why I love her so much, as well as bookmark that page so you can be live for our next episode. In the meantime, please make a comment and share this podcast below, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks a lot.